Hey, welcome back to the Random Opening Challenge. I'm Ryan. Today we're starting off with the High Eye account. Oh man, it's been a while since I recorded, and I feel really rusty. And we're beginning with a 5-den. Oh man. One Space Pincer. So yeah, in the last 2 episodes, I think there were comments about kind of me blitzing a little bit. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely try to keep that to a minimum. I mean, yeah, I understand how it's not very educational or also fun to watch if I'm just sitting there clicking away. So, yeah, we'll do a bit more explaining in these episodes. Well, actually, it's kind of the speed of my opponent. Well, it's an excuse. Okay. So, this Joseki is one that I used to play a lot too. If white is supposed to Hane, and then black could either extend up or cut directly. So, but in this case, black can actually do a 2-space pincer, and due to the fact that there's so much forcing moves, white can't actually do anything too much over here. Because if black were to capture the stone right here, that's going to be really disastrous for white because the whole corner is gone and the 2 stones over there are pretty useless. Like, for example, here I can actually make this Atari, and then if they extend, then it's double Atari. So we pretty much won locally already. I don't see any other things my opponent could do here. Yeah. This actually brings a lot of nostalgia because I used to play this so much. I loved this Joseki for quite a long time, and I would play this against so many opponents. And one game of note is during the Canadian Open. Actually, the very first Canadian Open that I played in, I used this Joseki against Matthew Hu. He was on fire at the time. I mean, so I was this just random amateur player playing in the Canadian Open, while Matthew was like the new pro that, well, no, he didn't become pro yet, but he was super strong already, and he did become pro that year, and he was first place that year, and I was second. Kind of unfortunate, but yeah, I remember playing this exact Joseki, and he didn't fall for it. There were a few tricks that I knew, but of course he was a insei, and he obviously knew a lot more than I did, and I was trying to trick him, but it didn't work. When was that? That was around 2010. Yeah, it was around 2010. So, what? My opponent just completely ignored this. Is this alive? And it's interesting that they played a split here as well. And the Hane here doesn't really matter right now because I still have more forcing moves in the center. What should we do here? If I block, then white's definitely alive. Maybe I'll descend. Yeah, maybe I'll descend. I want to force white to do stuff on the top and keep crawling. And this might be a nice time for me to play the 19 move. The more aggressive move for black would be to block, because this is pretty much center, I think. If I play a large knight, well, maybe it's a little too aggressive. Yeah, I don't want to just commit too much on the first line or first and second lines, just in case my opponent doesn't actually care. Then I would have spent too much moves, and they don't have to actually protect. Oh, I am in 5-dan, right? I feel like my opponent's playing really, really quick. So, well, yeah, okay. Well, he's playing really fast. Well, No doubt black is ahead, just so much influence, and white doesn't have much territory at all. So I guess we'll just attach here. Since white already has a stone, I don't think it makes too much sense for me to go that way. I think I want a Hane. Yeah, this move is quite big. And then let's extend. So everything is pretty casual up to this point, but we have a relatively clear lead due to the misplayed Joseki by white here. Attaches. I don't think it's that big right now. The corner here. What's white gonna do? I didn't even realize that. I also completely ignored this. I wanted to block, but then both players Tanuki. The reason why I didn't block earlier was because for the large knight's move, since white can extend back in Sente, there could be an eye in the middle, and I really didn't want to risk white being able to live and spending a move on the outside. So I just played this knight's move, and wow, white's all like on the second line. Maybe I'll push and jump. I can actually push once more. Wow, this is pretty comfortable for me. I'm gonna Atari, force my opponent to really low, and then maybe I'll try and get some territory in the middle now. Yeah, so right here what I'm doing is I'm trying to net white, and if white extends I will Hane, but if white Tanukis, then this is very, very nice because I get both Sente moves, and also when I play right here, this whole group is pretty much not alive, and that means white has to spend a whole bunch of forcing moves right here. I'm playing very fast, but I think most of these moves are pretty much set, no variations there. And yeah, white just has to escape, and I basically just benefit points by chasing him. And it's important for black to go for the middle now because of all the potential. And there's no value right here because all I care about is the bottom territory, and I can secure that while I maintain the attack. And now white has to keep going. And oh, I actually really want to play the Tiger's Mouth right now. Maybe I'll jump. Yeah, Tiger's Mouth feels pretty good. Okay, attachment. Yeah, I definitely don't need to kill. All I need to do is benefit territory. And now if I just pretty much throw a random stone in the middle, not literally, but if I play a move somewhere kind of in the center-ish area, all of the territory is pretty much mine. So yeah, this is the situation where it's hard to decide, and I usually spend a lot of time in these situations because it's just, yeah, I have a hard time making decisions like these. So right here, I used a very common Tsuji, the Atari this way and then connect, to force white into heavier shape. And now I think I'm just happy with, oh, I can extend in Sente, right. I can extend in Sente, and then I might be able to just completely enclose everything in the middle here. Ah, yeah. Hane makes sense, because white wants to put as much pressure on these stones as possible, so that black can't just make a territory. But I'm pretty sure I can still do this. Maybe I'll jump to be a bit safer. Yeah, I think I'll jump to be a bit safer. This reduces the risk, since if white pushes in Hanes, I can extend. Then I can still keep everything inside here. So there's no risk involved, really. And wow, I still have Sente, so maybe I'll extend here. I kind of want to block to make sure there isn't anything, any way white can get into my territory over here. But now that I think about it, it's probably not needed. Yeah, at this point, black is just winning by way too much right now. I can feel like a very substantial lead, I think I'll just connect for the best. Wait, I don't need to do anything like that, do I?
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Okay, we'll just make a solid connection. If I connect over here in the middle, white would be able to still cut off the rest of the group. But now this is very safe. Yeah, and yeah, this is white's. This was white's move anyway, so I don't think I can argue. Just give that to them. Well, there is something. Well, if I play knight's move here, if white blocks, then if black pushes right here, isn't the center group dead? Oh, I guess it's not completely dead. Because when white connects, that forces a way for white to connect back. Okay. Okay, I guess it's not dead then. I think I'll just block and I'll let white push through over here. And I'll just Hani this. This is the problem when you get territory in the middle. Is that, yeah, there's just so many entrance points and just so many ways for your opponent to reduce it. And that is pretty much the fundamental reason of why you don't want to go for territory like this. It's just relatively inefficient. Yeah. So yeah, at this point, I think the lead is quite substantial, especially from the attack on the bottom. It just felt way too good for me. And at this point, I won't even bother counting because I just feel that the lead is so big. Oh, did white just kill himself? Because if I extend here, there's no believe it or not, there's no other eye here. So this is game over for sure. Right when I was gonna talk about some endgame stuff, my opponent saved me the need to. So yeah, I was gonna say, is the jump here bigger, or maybe the corner? But yep, right here, white died. Over here, there's really nothing to discuss. My opponent's gonna try tricky things, but yeah, there's so many liberties left. Alright, yeah, I mean, we already looked at this earlier before playing this move. I was kind of looking at this on and off when I was talking about this potential move. So yeah, this is pretty clean win. Good return, good return.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last few
I mean, this is pretty. I think this is a poor strategy by my opponent, because after all of these moves, then they start to think about the life and death here, which is too late. Before playing the moves on the right side is when white should have started to think about the life and death. At this point, it's just kind of useless. Black has so many liberties everywhere. Just strong shapes everywhere. It's a really snowy day today, and Maybe I'll put like some stuff in the beginning. Maybe you guys will see that. But yeah, it's a very interesting winter in New York. It was like really warm for a long time, and then all of a sudden it starts snowing again, and it snowed consecutively for quite some time. Okay, so my opponent, the 5 Dan, still doesn't resign after this. Wow. Maybe we'll just Atari. Okay, there we go. Come on, you gotta resign there. Alrighty, so time to draw the next opening. So we just had a high eye. That's what we get. 4. What's that? Mini Chinese. If I remember correctly, this is close. We're close to 5D. For once, I was actually right about this. We're 17 games. This is the 5D game. Looking forward. Min Chinese. Here we go. So do you want it the small one or the large one? Or the regular one? Let's do the mini one. The micro one, I guess. Oh, I guess the account's called Min. Whatever. The approach. Wow. This is quite aggressive. There's no reason why I'm not happy about this. So first white gives us a very nice and solid territory. Nice, solid, efficient, everything. And wow, our opponent's very nice to us. Okay, I thought they were very nice, but I guess it was just on the surface because they still wanted to invade us. I was expecting the invasion a lot earlier, and I think it would definitely make more sense to invade early as opposed to doing this kind of a inconsistent move combination. White reduces on top and then invades right after, and in my opinion that really doesn't make any sense. And yeah, white took the bottom but just completely destroyed their own corner, and I can just keep attacking, or I can play a pretty casual move so that I don't have to worry about cutting points, or I can pincer. There are multiple good options here. I'm thinking of just playing here, or maybe a knight's move, so that way I can keep exerting pressure on white's group. That way white won't be able to do stuff like wedge and cut or anything to my shape. Maybe I'll just play a move to protect. I'm actually really happy. I think I'm way too happy about this local result, because white completely pushed into their own corner and gave me this all connected shape, whereas I kind of expected a separation if white invaded right away as opposed to playing that move. I can't actually Hane here because white would cut. And then if I captured, white would be able to cut this way. So maybe I'll just turn and I'll Hane. And this way it will force white to make this group alive. And that would help my group as well in the middle. Attach. I'm gonna have to separate this. Yeah, because if white connects back, both of these groups are alive, and that would also indirectly make my group weak. That's something I definitely don't want my opponent to achieve. So we're going to do this and play here. Yeah, put as much pressure as possible on the connection here. A good thing to remember, kind of like a rule of thumb, is if you want to play a sente move and it doesn't benefit you immediately, you shouldn't play it. A good example is what white did here. The push here doesn't immediately benefit white. Maybe they were trying to protect the weakness here, but actually this push helps black's shape way more than it helps white. So yeah, that was a very poor exchange made by white. I decided to make this diagonal to try and make white shapes bad. And I expected them to play here, and then I can peep to make it into a box c5. And then I have the option of pushing through, or I can jump on the left side somewhere. I think the jump here feels more comfortable, because if white tries to cut, then this weakness is going to be very obvious. And white does that right here. And yeah, I mean, the fight start here is pretty bad timing as well for white, since I made sure, you know, already with these moves that white's group is very weak, and I'm not sure why white is starting this fight still, because if I could just keep pushing, and then the next move we can see right away, I either surround this whole group or I hane on the outside. And what did white gain here? Really just that one stone. And strictly speaking, that one stone hasn't even been captured yet. Black can still escape. So this is all it's going to end pretty poorly for white. My connection is Sente. I'm thinking of whether or not to do that. Maybe we'll just go with like the peaceful variation. We're going to capture the outside and just let white do whatever they want to live. This will keep the game very clear. If I connect, white will probably play on the outside. Oh wow, this opponent really knows how to fight, and they've got all the big ideas correct. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, their judgment on the situation isn't as strong. Even though they know they can't just let black gain whatever, but they can't really tell which moves are okay and which moves aren't. That's kind of what I'm seeing for this opponent. By that I mean they probably haven't thought this through, like whether or not they can make this group alive. And if you don't think about these things in advance, your decisions won't be very good, because the first thing they need to rely on is these types of judgments of the important groups. There's a gote eye on the bottom and one other gote eye in the middle, which won't be enough. So I can extend here and then just push. And then I will connect over here to prevent white from capturing the one stone in the middle. And there's no eye in the corner, so white can put Atari at the start point, but black can also just connect. This is actually the same as Atari. And there's only one eye. I think general fighting is probably the most difficult thing in Go to really explain and walk through, because it's really a big mixture of reading, direction, judgment, and actually just those three. But I mean, it's a pretty hefty list, you know. You can't really there's no simple way of explaining how, when, and what to do. in all of these in different fights. It's first of all, it depends really on the fight. So I was kind of just thinking back on really what white did wrong, and I didn't really arrive at an obvious conclusion. Yeah, there are multiple things probably that white did incorrectly, but they were kind of a mixture of direction and judgment. And I can tell in this game that white has a lot of fighting spirit, but their judgment was probably not as good, and that led to white not being able to realize how dangerous their big group on the lower side was. And at the end of that, white sacrificed pretty much the whole group just to get this one black stone, literally. And I think that's a pretty good example of, I mean, obviously if they knew this would happen, they definitely wouldn't choose the variation, but they didn't look far enough, or they just couldn't tell what direction that this group was being led into. This actually ended up being a relatively slow game, but I think the fight here was very interesting, especially when they capped in them over here and then they invaded, which is it's a good example of what you shouldn't do. It's very inconsistent. The problem with a lot of these games is that they kind of just go on. Okay, I think this is a good point to stop, because white is completely dead on the bottom, and there's really no way for white to come back. So speed up time. And here we go. That took quite a lot of moves, but it was relatively fast, so it wasn't too bad. And we have it, 5D mini Chinese. All right, that's another 5-den account to the collection. Let's see what our next opening is. It is 8, and we still haven't gotten a 0. Okay, it's double 4 6. I think I've mentioned this quite a few times already, but this is one of the most nervous accounts that I have, especially at 5D. 4-6 is definitely not an easy opening to control. It's pretty wild. Okay, so I'm still getting the star point approach though, which is interesting at 5D. So we'll see how long that lasts. The 3-3 invasion, I think it's a pretty obvious follow-up when you Kosumi out. But still, a lot of people play here. This is not the standard move, by the way. What black is supposed to play is the descend or jump, or attach, pull back, and then jump. Okay. So I guess we'll just pull back then. It's kind of like the low double Prochoseki, except both of white stones are high. It's a very interesting shape. Now, if black Hanes, can white descend? That's also an interesting question. I'm going to try it, and then I'm going to Kosumi. Or should I Hane this one? Yeah, no, I should Kosumi first. I want to get this exchange first, because if I force the outside too much, black might just let me connect back. And then we Tiger Snow. And so if black connects back, when white plays this knight's move to escape, there's another cutting point, which would make the fight pretty good for white, I think. Black would have to spend another move, and then white could either do a one space or an extension on the other side. It feels quite quick, but actually I am losing a lot of territory here, which might be a problem later on. Let's do a 2-space extension. This side is really big, since if black plays on over here, it's pretty much Sente, and it would really make it would force white to try and make eyes, and that's generally not something you'd want to be forced to do. Jump here. Okay, we'll protect it. The jump has a very clear purpose. It's to protect the cutting point. This opponent definitely knows what they're doing. But I think right now the fight is definitely in our favor. There's the... Whoa. This is a very, I don't know, flashy move, I guess. It's a 2-space jump into the center. There are two things that come to mind right now. I could either just slide. This move is it will settle the white group. Then I shouldn't have to worry too much about black attacking it. But then the other option is to jump out into the center. Yeah, let's jump out into the center. Black's group is quite weak, and by jumping out we can keep them that way. Oh. I think cutting here is a must. Cutting here is a must. The attachment is very aggressive, but Black's whole group isn't even alive yet. And by doing this, we force Black into playing these bad moves, in local bad shape moves, in order to escape. And then, yep, eventually it will strengthen our own groups. And I'm really glad that I played the diagonal earlier, because this makes a very strong shape on the side, compared to if I just simply blocked. What is this trying to do? Oh, okay, there is a weird kind of thing. That is rather annoying. I can also connect, actually. Connecting feels like the right move, since this threatens the Atari and then cut. So it's kind of like a mini Sente. It's definitely not direct Sente, because Black obviously doesn't have to save the 3 stones now. But it is an indirect Sente, if you will. Okay, let me get the Atari first, and then we extend. That way it guarantees the cut. I'm not going to cut now, because the center is way more important. Cutting right here is only... Well, I say only, but it's only about 15 points. If Black cuts, White would play a Tiger's Mouth on the outside, which is also very important for the outside influence. So after Black connects, it's really, really important for White not to make the cut, but to extend in the center. This is not always the case, but right now, since the 5 black stones aren't vital stones, they're pure points. Whoa, that I didn't expect. My opponent started a Ko. That's very interesting. This is definitely a hard Ko for them to fight. And if they win, they don't really gain much. So I'm just going to play it very lightly. So I'll just extend and pretend that this doesn't even exist. And then just capture back if Black keeps... And Black has to pretty much keep extending. Because even if they connect, I'm probably going to Hane. And yeah, these moves are big moves anyway. The only benefit for black to connect back is literally only to connect the 5 stones back. And I mentioned before that the 5 stones aren't super important.
Yoyomi now starts.
So of course now I definitely... What am I doing? Why did I cut here? Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. And that is why you don't play moves right away. Oh. And I keep telling my students this, and I make that mistake myself. Oh my gosh. So white definitely should have cut in the middle because, you know, that would just capture everything. Oh my. Okay. I'm gonna have a hard time telling my students in the next class after they watch my video to follow the 5-second rule. Oh gosh, what did I do? What did I do to my class? That was a really bad mistake. Yeah. I kind of let my guard down because I was thinking, well, even if black won this ko, they just connect the 5 stones. So I didn't even think that there was an even better option for myself. And that's what led me to just cut right away because I just was so happy with the variation that I didn't think too much even about an even better variation. Alright, so we'll block and push down here. Yeah, so all these moves are really good for white. We're taking the big side. These stones are sufficiently strong. I'm definitely alive here, so I don't have to worry about that. And that's just all goodness, isn't it? It's just like we're getting all this influence, and black is going to live in 2 points. And then approaching the next corner. Best Joseki variation ever. I was tempted to Hana here, but black would pull back and make shape. So this is the vital point for sure, because it makes black into a false side. And then we descend. I shouldn't have any big problems in the middle. It's quite complicated. The block here. I was wondering about this actually. I was kind of thinking to myself whether this was possible. Because black is probably looking at this attachment, but after reading, this attachment doesn't work. Yeah, only this diagonal works, which means black doesn't even have enough eye space. I am so tempted to kill this groove. Oh man. I just, just the urge is just coming. Because there's no eyes in the upper left corner. There's only one eye here. And that's it, right? So the 2 things that I have to worry about is my life and death. On the upper side, obviously I can't die, and the other thing is the outside. And oh, okay. There's actually a gote eye here. What am I? Okay. Just disregard everything that I just said. Okay. Nothing happened. Okay. Nothing happened. I'm a completely sane professional player. Yeah. We'll just. I didn't realize that this. Black can just connect, and white obviously can connect because the cutting point here. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Swiftly moving on. Okay, we're gonna approach the bottom left. Okay, the game is still really good for us because we just built this huge wall, and if you think about it, black approached us and nobody tanuki'd. So you can think of everything in the upper left side of the board as the Joseki, and boy, are we happy with that. Black only has 4 points, and white has a relatively strong outside, a lot of points, and this is very good for white. I still don't get it. Why do people attach on a 3-4? It's not a Joseki. Why? Please don't attach. Please. Yeah. Okay. This is definitely an over exaggeration, but it's still it's such a common mistake. One of the most common mistakes is on a start point. If your opponent approaches, you can attach. On a 3-4, if you attach, you just get 1 space less, and that's obviously a lot worse. So please don't attach when you have a 3-4 point. You can only attach for a Joseki at the start point. Okay. Now right here, I'm not really trying to build too much potential with this Moyo, because I'm completely happy to just take the territory, and because this is all solid stuff, and I know I'm leading in territory by quite a bit, so all these moves that I'm playing, I'm not worried about building Moyo. If you build Moyo, it's not clear when you try to convert a winning game into a game that you're ahead into a game that you're winning in endgame, because your opponent can invade, and invasions are fighting. It's very complicated, and you have to handle those well. But if you just have more territory, and that's it. That's you don't have to worry about invasions. You only have to just make sure that that territory stays yours. Okay. These moves are quite good. Should I try to get a peep here? I'll try to get a peep here because I want to attach. Oh, nice. We got the attachment. If I don't get the peep here, if I attach, black will Hani and then connect back, and then I won't be able to ladder. But after the peeping exchange, black won't be able to Hani this way anymore. Wow. A very stubborn cut here. I'm going to Hane first and take advantage of the weakness in black's shape. And see what they do. If they block, then I can just Atari first, and that is a super good exchange for white. Okay, so they played there. And okay, so how do we get out of this? I'm okay with sacrificing the 2 stones, actually.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I just realized that this is probably not the best way to go, because I do have to commit to trying to escape here. And I don't want to just ruin the corner with forcing moves like here. Yeah. But the good thing is we completely destroyed black's territory. And black has pretty much just Komi in terms of territory. At this point, black definitely can't get this exchange. No, should I jump out or should I, the shape here is a little weird.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'll just do a jump. Right now, the middle is too important. If I make this extend, this whole thing dies. So right, everything in the lower right is not Sente, which is why I play the jump immediately. So I was already thinking about that, and if black Hane, then I was already preparing to play that move. I think we can double Hane, no problem. And at this point, even like the Ataris over here are not sent anymore.
9, 8.
Let me just connect. And without actually intending to do so, we were able to use this influence that we built. Where a few minutes ago, I was just planning on using that to reduce black's potential influence, but now we're actually using it in the fight. I think this is a really good game to showcase how changing Go is. And it's important not to focus on one particular part. If you're really stubborn and you think, oh, I need that territory, no matter what, I'm not going to give it up, then you're losing out on a lot of possibilities, which could be good. Like here, we're just originally I didn't want to do that, but then when black actually tried to threaten the corner, I realized that I could just jump out, and the middle was way more important than the corner at that moment. So I could just sacrifice it. Yep. So at this point, we completely captured black. And, well, if black captures the corner, then I guess we'll extend and finish everything off here. If you're wondering about the upper right corner, this is definitely a very unusual territory to have. I mean, definitely don't expect to have like something like this. It's really hard to build this unless you're attacking your opponent like we did in this game and force black to giving you the forcing moves. But right now, it's very hard for black to live inside here, which is why I didn't really have any issues with descending. If it was invadable, I definitely wouldn't have descended. I would have played somewhere kind of inside more to make sure that it wasn't invadable. Yep. So right now it's definitely over. A very spiky game. We made so many mistakes, but they were all not as major as my opponent, and they were all kind of after, so they didn't really affect the end result too much. But such a dynamic game. All right, so let's see what our next opening is. Okay, 3. Number 3. Oh wow, we're back to Chinese. Chinese opening. And of course, I got so carried away that I didn't realize the time on this video. We're going to actually start the next video with regular Chinese, and I just checked, it is 17 out of 18, which means we will achieve another 5-gen account in the beginning of the next video, if things go smoothly. Thank you all for watching, hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one.